Hi, I'm Norman A. Hood, financial advisor and host of the Exit Plan Show. I interview America's top advisors, like today's guest, Doug Sheiding of Business Brokers of San Antonio. We help business owners enjoy more personal freedom, grow their companies faster, and transition ownership seamlessly when the time comes. Welcome to the show, Doug.
Thank you.
We're just going to get started out here. I'm going to have you tell our audience a little bit about your education, your background, your career path up until now.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm actually an aerospace engineer, graduate of Texas A&M University, and interviewed with several large companies and always thought I'd work for a company like General Dynamics, and really as part of the interview process decided I didn't like kind of the corporate structure of large companies, and then went to work for a small company doing computer simulation or finite element type work, and did both the engineering and sales. I was in charge of engineering, and we'd have salespeople kind of come and go, and so I'd always float over to the sales side. And so worked for a couple small companies doing that. Then went to work for a larger company, formed their first regional office in North America, based out of Houston. So I commuted to Houston quite a bit. And then another engineering company, and kind of hit a glass ceiling there. And so after about 20 years, a gentleman that worked for me about 15 years ago at the time, his name is Bob Howells, he contacted me. He worked for LexisNexis, and he was at LexisNexis helping Fortune 500 companies do corporate due diligence as part of their acquisition strategy. And he called on a business broker out of Baton Rouge, and he said, well, I'm not sure if this is really, something you want to get into. And so we actually started this about 11 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And he moved from Houston to San Antonio, and we originally started as a Sunbelt franchise, and then broke off and now been independent about 6 years. So
awesome.
There's 3 of us in the office.
Okay, interesting. You and I just met. In fact, we talked on the phone, a few months ago. But,
right.
Trace Bain was on yesterday. He was telling me a little bit about you, so I got, I knew your engineering background, actually.
Okay.
But how would people who know you really well, how would your friends and maybe people you work with, how do you think they'd describe you personally?
I would say dependable, and almost loyal like a dog, and then also very detail oriented. And so on the engineering side, I have the detail oriented.
Right.
But even in college, I didn't hang out with the engineers. I was more in the. I was actually in a fraternity. So
Nothing against engineers, but you seem like you have a lot of personality for an engineer.
Well, yeah. My wife's personality has rubbed off on me, I'd say. Yeah. So she says I'm now the extrovert of the family.
Okay. Well, that's a good influence. Business Brokers of San Antonio, can you explain all the services they offer?
Well, we primarily change people's lives.
Okay.
We match, we confidentially represent sellers of businesses. Typically, it's for retirement, health, or other business interests. Sometimes they're burned out. One seller told me he was like in prison when he went to work. But we represent sellers and try to match them up with buyers.
Okay.
So, and this is all done confidentially. About 5% of our work is buyer representation, but that's a little bit of a tougher animal. And then a couple years ago, we started another business which does equipment appraisals.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a certified equipment appraiser, also a business certified appraiser, and my business partner Bob Howells is a certified equipment broker.
Oh, okay.
So we do that under a different company name.
Okay. What do you think differentiates you from some of the other business brokers? Because there's more than one or two in San Antonio area. So
yeah, San Antonio there's about 20. It's not like some of the larger cities, Houston and Dallas, where there's a couple hundred. But what differentiates us is, as I said, we're engineers. There's 3 engineers in the office. My business partner is industrial distribution, and then we have a semi-retired chemical engineer that works for us. So we're all very process oriented. So everything is we like to understand the business and understand why the person is selling, what some of the challenges are in the business, because no one wants to buy a perfect business.
Right.
Someone wants to come in, use their talents and skills, and see the opportunity to grow the business. So when a client or potential client comes in, we're actually screening them because it's really about the character of the seller, because as a business broker, we never know the whole story about the business. But we want to understand really what their true motivation is, and then understand what they believe the value of the business is.
Okay.
So we'll give our opinion. So we'll do homework up front. So we're screening the sellers before we list, or before we even really talk about listing.
Okay.
Because we want to understand what they think the business is worth, and then what we think the most probable sales price is, the MPSP. So, and probably lastly is we use a third-party escrow company to do the closing.
Oh, okay.
As a business broker, rule number one, never hold the money.
Right.
And so we use a company out of Dallas that does the closings for us.
Okay.
And so they orchestrate basically the creation of most of the closing docs, hold the escrow, do the lien searches, and handle all the money transfer. Work with the banks, franchises, etc. In terms of doing the closing. So.
Okay. And then you personally, I know you mentioned you can do appraisals, you do sales. Is there any one thing you like to do better than everything else?
Well, of course, I do like the technical type businesses. So if it's manufacturing or something like that, certainly we like to get our teeth into those types of businesses. But I do like to get in and do the what we call recasting or normalizing of the business, and really look at the businesses up front, because that's what I like about this business is the variety.
Okay.
I don't like to do the same monotonous thing over and over and over. So the variety of, you might talk to 2 or 3 business owners in the same day and really kind of understand what's going on in their business, and to a certain extent we're consultants in that way.
Okay.
And really, because if we talk to a business owner 1 to 2 years before they are really in the need or really want to sell, that's really the time so that they can help position their business to sell in 2-3 years.
Okay. Where do you get your energy?
I get my energy, well, despite things, I actually get my energy from doing a variety of things, having a little time to myself. But on the weekends, I do competition barbecue. So
wow. Yeah.
So I used to play tennis with Trace, and so we actually won a national tournament in mixed doubles in Tucson. So and played at Flushing Meadows as part of, and Trace was part of that team where we got to play where they play the U.S. Open. But I've got a bum knee now, so to get my competitive juices out, so to speak, no pun, but do competition barbecue on the weekends.
That sounds fun. That sounds tasty.
Yeah.
Last question. Business owners watch the Exit Plan show for one of 3 or 4 reasons. One, sometimes they're looking to gain a little more personal freedom, not spend as much time at work. Sometimes they want to grow their company. Oftentimes they want to transition ownership to a third-party sale, which I know you're involved in a lot, or to a family member or to a key employee group. And then number 4, as business owners sometimes are looking for a way to redefine their purpose after they sell their company. Their identity's tied up with their business, and now all of a sudden they're trying to figure out what's next.
Right.
If you could give them a tip in one of any of those 4 areas, what do you think it would be?
They need to know, and this is one of the things we look for when we're interviewing the seller initially, they need to see themselves on the other side of the fence.
Okay.
If the business is so much of a part of them, and they can't really, we may go through all the work, because basically all of our work is done up front, and we don't get paid. We don't charge up front fees. We get paid success fees. They will go through the entire process and then back out, or potentially back out.
Right.
They've got to see themselves. They've got to have some finish line on the other side of the fence of what they're going to do. If they don't see that, they're not really ready to sell.
Yeah, interesting. Our last guest, Bill Dimick, he just told a story about someone who went through the whole process, had a great offer, had great terms, had a low tax rate, and then got all the way to the end, decided they just couldn't do it.
Oh, exactly. It happens on every transaction. I was talking to a seller last night, and husband and wife, and the wife said she asked the husband, "Are we doing the right thing? Because we're going to close in a couple weeks." And he said, "Absolutely. That's an answer I want to hear."
Yeah. Right. Hey, that was a great interview. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good to get to know you more, too.
Okay, good.
That was Doug Sheiding. He's with Business Brokers of San Antonio. For more information about Doug and his firm, please check out the show notes for this episode on our website. Thank you.